for interviewing with MSA.
Thank you, Amir. I'm very glad to be here today, and I look forward to your questions.
Great, thanks a lot. All right, so let's just start with your bio, your journey through through your career with the texture of membrane technology.
Sure. So I actually started working on membranes during my PhD between the CSIRO and Victoria University in 2000 and late 7, early 8. So, a few years back, let's say now. At the time, I was part of one of the CSIRO divisions on material science and engineering. And there were a lot of hype, I would say, and promises regarding carbon nanotubes. And so my work and that of the project I was linked to was related to developing CNT-based membranes for desalination primarily. After this, I was fortunate to have a couple of postdoc offers before I finished my PhD, and I decided to join Professor Sandra Kentish group in Melbourne for about
so who
2
was your
years.
supervisor in Victoria?
Victoria, Michael Duke, and Stephen Gray were my two PhD advisors. Yeah.
So once you finish your PhD in 2012, I guess, right?
Yeah.
You joined Melbourne Uni with Sandra.
Yeah. So actually, I joined in 2011, Sandra's group. And then worked for about 2 years with her on still membranes, but more on the applied side, looking at cleanup of solvents used for carbon capture. So not material, more process at the time.
Excellent. And is it part of CO2 CRC?
It was part of the CO2 CRC, absolutely, and another funding body called NLEC at the time, which was promoting decarbonization and carbon capture.
Excellent. And then, so it was, so you 2 years with Sandra, which was 2013, I guess?
Yeah, I started in early 2011 with her, and I left mid-2012, roughly. So about, a bit more than 18 months overall.
Okay, and then what happened next?
Then I moved down to Deakin University from mid-2012, where I started to build my group, my team, working with Ling Shu Kong and Peter Hudson primarily on the development of metal membranes, nanoporous metal membranes. And we had a couple of projects, linkage projects, especially with companies on the topic.
So it was the time that you got your DECRA. I know you were awarded DECRA as well.
Yeah, I got first Alfred Deakin Fellowship in 2015, and then I got the DECRA in 2018 after that. Yeah, correct.
Okay. At Deakin.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it's just like you all still in Melbourne.
Yeah. All my research career at the time was based in Melbourne and Geelong, which is a very nice.
Geelong, yes.
Yeah.
So 2018, you were still at Deakin University.
Correct. Yeah.
Where you got your DECRA. So your DECRA officially started in 2018. Am I right?
Yes. Yeah. Late 18. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, then.
And then in 2020, I received an offer to become a faculty in Khalifa University in Abu Dhabi, UAE. And so we moved there in third quarter, let's say, of 2020. And I spent about 4.5 years there. And I just relocated to Australia in January to work not anymore as an academic only, but primarily as a chief science officer in a startup company based in Perth called Element Zero. And the work, to summarize, that we are doing right now at the company is still a bit on membranes. We apply membranes, but not so much on development. But we look at the production of green metals around silicon, lithium, and also at the purification of some of the effluents we are developing as part of the process. We have membranes involved in that part of the business model.
Excellent. So this is always my question to all of my interviewees. Where was the first time in your life you heard membrane? The word of membrane.
Yeah. I think the first time I heard about membranes was actually in Germany. Because, as you know, I'm French of background, and I was doing a Master of Engineering, which is a bit different to the masters we have in Australia, in the sense that you have to do 3 compulsory internships overseas, or at least not in France, So I went to Germany for two of those internships, and the second one I was in Aachen, RWTH, and down there I was not working on membranes, but I was working on wound dressings
Sorry, on
for
what? What was that?
wound dressings
Bone
to actually,
dressing.
yeah,
Okay. It's like a
to actually
biomedical. Sounds to me like a
biomedical,
biomedical stuff.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
But as part of that, we're doing permeation tests of the wound dressings to understand liquid transfer and air transfer. And
Amazing.
at the end of this, one of my master advisor, let's say in Germany, told me, "Oh, you should go for your last internship to an English-speaking country to
Mm.
first get rid of your, very nice French accent, and second, also learn more about potentially membranes, all that." That's why I went to the CSIRO in the first place before my
Ah,
PhD to actually do an internship of 6 months, and then I stayed over for my PhD. Yeah. So probably I first heard of membranes in 2006.
2006. Probably that one when you were very, very young back then.
That's right. Yeah, I was.
Very interesting. Very
Certainly more.
interesting. You are still are. Um, all right. So I think I can see that your the main part of your career was your journey was just around membrane.
Yeah.
From the time from your post, your MSc, your internship at CSIRO, and then your PhD, and then you've been different universities before joining Khalifa University, and then still you were working at well, membrane was a part of your core research as far as I know. Um, uh, Before I get to the some sort of general questions in terms of your advice for ECR, MCRs in terms of and particularly HDRs who are now working in membrane research and stuff. Um, can you just tell me just briefly what are the or maybe what is the main exciting or unexpected findings in your research career?
Mm,
Something that gives you the nudge, something that gives you the feeling.
yeah. It's difficult because I probably don't want to frustrate any of my former PhD students. If I have to choose one, I might just make some unhappy. But we have done a couple of nice projects, in the past 15 years. A few I'm proud of. One on microplastics between Surrey University and Deakin at the time with Marie Enfrin and Judy Lee as well. It was a very nice project we had with them. But probably the one I'm the most proud of right now, because it took a long time in the making, is the development of 3D printed nanoporous membranes, which, as you might be aware, is something we have been working on to at Deakin and then which we perfected somehow in Khalifa University.
Mm-hmm.
And I like this one for two reasons. First, because it's a very nice piece of material engineering development, which we have shown we can control pore size from virtually a few nanometers to a few microns with the
Mm-hmm.
same system. But
Mm-hmm.
also, we did demonstrate we can scale up the membranes. And I think that's a very important part of most of the membrane research journey is to try to demonstrate scalability. And often people stop maybe a bit too early in that process, and I'm proud of it. So with my postdoc, Harry Calathil, I think he has done a great job on that, and we are trying now to commercialize this, or at least to get patents through and look at off-takers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think you just touch a very important bottleneck in all of the membrane research. We have very nice membranes in the literature. We have fantastic building blocks, the starting materials. Everything is so perfect, works very well in lab setting. The moment you wanna scale it up, it just like it doesn't work. So it always becomes so complicated that just people left it. I think if with 3D printing we can control to the nanoscale size, that's a huge advantage. So that's something that potentially can revolutionize the way that we think about membrane fabrications, and it's become sort of more readily available and more accessible to the broader sort of it potentially can have many applications as well.
Mm.
So it open up a lot of doors. All right, so Ludo, I think I know you have been very successful in securing grants and moving from one organization to another organization. Uh, you have a fantastic track record of publications. I know you have you are currently editor-in-chief of the Elsevier Journal of Water Process Engineering. So for HTRs, and now you have a industry hat, and you are chief scientific officer of Element Zero. So So Steven, I think you probably would be a very good a person who can give comments on students and HTRs, PhD, particularly PhD students, in terms of picking up the journey, the academic journey or industry journey. What would be your advice for them?
Yeah, it's always challenging to give advice on that front because people have their own expectations, their own aspirations. I think but I believe we have to adapt to the ecosystem, you know, and the academic ecosystem currently is very competitive. So for someone finishing their PhD right now, to be sure they can have an academic position in 5 years' time, it's not easy. I think we need to say this very clearly. But it's not impossible, but it's just very hard. Maybe much harder than 15 or 20 years ago, where there were more postdocs and positions open. And I think that's where potentially looking at industry-based positions can be equally as rewarding because not only you might be doing much more applied work, but in our case at the company, we do very fundamental work anyway. We work on topics where there is maybe 3 or 4 papers only, in the whole literature. So you can see how much we have to develop in-house. So it can be actually more fundamental than people expect sometimes, I believe, depending on the company, obviously.
Hmm.
But my advice for people finishing their PhD now or in the next 18 months is first to, build early enough their career pathway. So
Hmm.
if you want to stay academia or if you think you would like to get to go to industry, you have to network. You have to build your network early on in that PhD stage by going to the right meetings. And IMSTEC is a great one for membranes. We have a mix of industry and academics, but there are other meetings with IWA or in Australia or IWA globally that could bring many other doors open
Hmm.
to the different work. So I think that's something to plan ahead. So doing great work anyway, being proud of it, and being able to communicate the work clearly is good. Having that networking ability, I think, is critical because without bragging about his or her work, you can showcase what we do, and the people recognize that. So going to
Hmm.
the meetings is critical to showcase that aspect. These are probably the main things I would say. It's very generic, but honestly, that's how I've been trying myself to work and trying to be of service. And that's something that was important to me with the MSA at the beginning and other endeavors to try to serve the community. And I think people, I hope anyway, recognize this, and it helps you sometimes get
Hmm.
other opportunities or recognition afterwards. So just be ready to give your time for free, initially,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
make some impact this way.
Hmm. Hmm. Very good point. Very good point. Um, the Look, I know you have hired a lot of people during your career, particularly with your current role. I think I saw we had some advertisements for particularly for fresh graduates, right? So, what type of things you are looking for from CVs, from during interview? What is it very important for you to hire someone?
Yeah, I think there are three things. First, when anyone applies for a position in a company, we need to make sure the CV is a bit leaner compared to the CV we would send for academic positions.
Mm,
Okay.
very important.
I don't think it matters if it's 2 or 3 or even 4 pages, maybe, but not 20, not 25. It has to be very
Hmm.
lean, very focused. And I think industry doesn't often, or maybe not always, but often, care so much about publications. Okay, they could care about some and the patents, but they care mostly about the know-how and the dynamism and the attitude you bring to the company. Okay,
Hmm.
so selling not only your hard skills, your knowledge, but your soft skills is also equally important. And being able to to demonstrate your soft skills clearly during the interview or in the cover letter with examples can help a bit. Yes, we have 3 positions that were open and were closed recently, and we received over 240
Yeah.
CVs.
Yes.
And many are not relevant, I must say, but some are, and we are shortlisting maybe 5 to 10 on each position for that purpose. But it's very hard sometimes to discriminate between people because they are so good, all of them. So
Exactly
we
true.
need to go on the fine details, and often that attitude, especially during the interview, in presence or online, makes a whole difference.
I think because it's very important before I move to the second question, can you elaborate what do you exactly mean soft skill, please?
Yeah. So I see a few things. Obviously, I have been hiring people in Australia, in Abu Dhabi, here again. And what matters to me, or what I try to find in terms of traits very often in people is first their grit. I want to see their motivation. I want to see not only about the work we do, but generally speaking, I want to see a mindset that is showing motivation, showing, patience. That's important. And it's not just a word. We have to feel it, when they talk, when they express themselves. Second, I want to see, or I'm always trying to gauge or assess their team spirit ability, or team building capacity. Because when you bring a new element to a team, the last thing you want is your dynamism to be destroyed by having an inappropriate element in the team. So that's really important. And probably the last thing I look at as well is their ability to think on the spot. So I always give them mini assignments or questions which are based on their CV, but then a few questions a bit harder. And I don't care if the answer is right or wrong. I want to see how they think, when it's something that they did not expect, in a sense. And these are probably the three topics I try to assess,
Excellent.
or, in that context.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing the points. Let's shift the gear back to the membrane before we get to the rapid fire questions. Because I know your work closely. I know you did a lot of switches in from different sort of applications for membrane, from membrane distillation. I just realized that you had some biomed background as well. Where do you see the membrane technology will land in the next 5 years? Where do you see the niche will be in next 5 or potentially 10 years?
Yeah. It's also a challenging question. Thank you, Amir, for asking me. um, I I don't know. I see two or three things. First, I believe, and we are working on this ourselves with my postdoc, but also the company, that AI and machine learning will be inevitable. And we have to embrace it, and we have to learn how to use it, and we have to be able to be smart about it, And that's really something I think we should acknowledge, both as researchers and as companies. The risk is that people will lose their critical thinking. And I have seen that recently. People taking whatever ChatGPT or Grok, whatever tells them,
Yes.
is like, the Bible or the Quran or whatever. It's just, it's the holy word, but it's not, and it's wrong very often. So people may save a lot of time in the design, in the review, but at the same time, we need to make sure they are very critical about what they get and what they report. Okay. I'm not even talking about ethical issues of using AI. That's a different business and different story. But that's the first thing. The second aspect where I think there's a lot of very good work happening and very good membranes coming on, in papers, is for very selective extraction. I think membranes have been very inert for a few decades, very good at getting the water through or the gas through and rejecting the rest, but not being very selective, in fact, overall. And that's the next stage. And, like for lithium, like you're doing, for instance, Joseph Amir, but many others looking at other types of resource recovery, that's, I think, a very key topic to have more permeability, but equally as selective membranes, for individual elements, proteins, ions, and whatever. And the third area where I believe there is great potential, it's a bit less mature maybe, but is really on intensification of membrane processes with membrane catalytic reactors or membrane sensors. And we can see some papers coming on these topics. And I think they are really going to help membranes to be not a commodity anymore, but a smart, responsive material eventually.
Smart sort of processes, smart materials. Great. Thank you very much. I think we usually have a tradition of finishing off the interview with some rapid fire questions. So, if you weren't a scientist or engineer, what other career would you have chosen?
Either maybe a journalist, I think,
Oh,
because
okay.
I really was keen on that initially. Or potentially, I love to sing, so maybe an opera singer or something like that. Maybe I'm not good enough for that, but yeah, something like that.
Okay. Um, Coffee or tea?
Coffee, always.
And the last question is, if you have an option to spend the rest of your life in one city anywhere in the world, what would be that city?
I love many places, but I would probably say Barcelona. I love Catalonia. and I love Barcelona. And I think beside the weather, it's a very nice place to be, very cultural and very relaxed as well. So I would say that, yeah.
Yeah, I assume that you know some Spanish as well.
Un poquito, a bit.
Gracias. All right. Thank you very much, Ludo. It's great.
Thank you.
It's pleasure to have you in here and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. And thanks for the MSA for everybody. Have a great time, guys. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
Bye.